Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Mike Letchin. Welcome back to another episode of vExpert Daily. This time live from Barcelona for 2015 VMworld. So as we do this always, we'll do some quick introductions, where you can find us, what we do, who we are. So like I said, Mike Letchin, I'm at mletchin on Twitter. So go ahead, quick intro.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike, for having me on. I'm Julian Wood, Julian_Wood on the Twitters. I'm a VMware customer, really. I'm a blogger at wooditwork.com. May have one or two important things to say, plenty of non-important things to say. But yeah, I don't have anything to sell or anything to flog, but just hugely involved in the community and love being here.
We don't tend to get customers as often, so it's a nice change.
There we go.
Indeed. I'm Tony Foster, Wonder Nerd on Twitter, from America, and work for EMC.
Dell?
We'll get to that. We'll come back to that. We're going to come back to that. Let's get to intros first.
My name's Steve Flanders. I'm on the Log Insight team at VMware, Dell, I guess. And I lead the customer-oriented R&D group. You can follow me on Twitter, smflanders, or my blog, sflanders.net.
So maybe we'll just kick right into that one. I mean, so $67 billion. Michael definitely maxed out the credit card on that one. I'm trying to figure out, how do you walk into a bank and ask for $67 billion?
He didn't, only 40.
Excuse me, do you have $6 billion I can borrow? Do you have $6 billion I can borrow? Like, how do you do that?
Somebody had a good point this morning. They're talking about when you have a mortgage and you have, say, $600,000, if you have an issue with that debt, that's your problem. If you've got $60 billion and you've got an issue with the debt, that's the bank's problem.
I want to know, how do you have that conversation with your wife? Hey, honey, I'm thinking, I can walk in and be like, honey, I'm going to buy a new motorcycle. She's like, yeah, and I want a new pair of shoes. He walks in, I think I'm going to go spend $67 billion and buy a company. Like, how do you have that conversation?
Yeah.
So, obviously, that was probably the biggest news and a bit of a surprise, I think, for most people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people saw some suitors for EMC, and it's not final by any stretch. I mean, there's still a window out there, but what do you got? How do you think this is going to go? I know you've got an opinion. Go ahead.
I've got input, but I'm going to keep it until we actually see the finals on the details. Yeah, no, that's a good thing.
I don't know that the whole thing's going to come over. I think there's some pieces that will get sold off before it's final. There's too much conflict in the portfolio.
I don't know either. I mean, there's still the option to shop it around too.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many $67 billion shopping around.
Going back to your bank analogy, yeah.
Did you guys see the article in Wired yesterday about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Interestingly, I think they have a good point.
Yeah.
Because this massive transition that everybody's been doing...
If you didn't see the article, it is not safe for work.
Just
to be clear.
It's basically an article all about how these massive companies aren't doing cloud well enough. AWS, huge, and Azure doing incredibly well. Big merger, Dell EMC, big split with HP and HP Enterprise, but this article, and I agree with them, is saying that these companies are still not getting the cloud right. All of the money that they're doing in infrastructure and services is going to be a declining market. Huge amounts of money going to AWS and huge amounts of money going to Microsoft, who's the only one really turning that big, cumbersome, fat, ugly ship around, heading for the cloud. So yeah, they're very valid worries to have for this new company.
So with that, who's the winner out of this? Who outside of these companies? Who else looks at this?
Lawyers.
Lawyers are always the winner. They make sure of that.
But who else? What companies out there are going to actually get more value out of this? You think there's anybody that looked at this and went, oh, this is great for us?
I'm not sure there is.
I've heard a couple of customers that have been excited about it. Customers. Couple.
Okay.
So.
Well, what about, some of the conversation I had yesterday, people was, is this great for Citrix? Does Citrix look at this? Is Microsoft look at it and go, this is awesome for us? Because it's all going to depend on what Dell decides to do with VMware.
Well, I think that's the big thing. Everything's up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen.
So it's all speculation.
True, it's all speculation. But at the end of the day, VMware's doing well. Why change what's doing well?
I'm curious as to why VMware was only worth, $6 a share? Wasn't the initial, it was $27 and it was $33 if they got VMware too? I'm like, I thought it would have been more than $6.
Was that a $6 premium?
Yeah. Maybe. So, moving off of that news.
I think just back on that, I think one of the interesting things is that This is going to cost millions to execute. To integrate these two companies is going to take a huge amount of money away from R&D, away from all those kind of things, away from customer things. And that's always the issue with these big kind of mergers, is that focus not on the customer, but on the bankers, on the financing, on all of this intercompany politics.
You need to focus on that a little.
You do need to, but it takes away that innovation pipeline, and maybe there's going to be a pause on job hirings. There's going to be a pause for a year and a half. What's that going to mean? Competitors are going to love it.
I think. You're definitely going to see a shift on it. It's harder when you're doing that. Who knows what it'll change the market landscape right now. So, kind of coming back to the show specifically. Obviously, we saw a keynote this morning. We expected some info. This show we tend not to get as much announcements in Europe, especially 5 weeks out from US. Yeah. It was quick for everybody to turn around for here. Yeah. So was there anything? There was definitely some stuff, some of the container stuff this morning. Mm-hmm. What else was in the keynote or there was of interest?
Well, VRA 7 was announced, right? That's a pretty big deal. They showed off a pretty cool demo.
I like how he pulls right into a VRA side of things.
Of course.
Well done.
Log Insight was showing him that. That was nice, right?
He wants his job.
He's like, so we have VRA.
He wants a job after the merger.
No, but automation's key. We're talking about doing the cloud better, and you need that automation piece.
Good point. Public cloud is so easy to consume. Private cloud is nearly impossible to create with the old vRealize automation, because to set that up, anyone who wants to transition to a private cloud, that is ridiculously hard.
Right.
So a new deployment model, OVF, simplifying all that's got to be good, because you can't get to the public cloud without ramping onto a private cloud if you're going to do this hybrid kind of thing. So they've got to make it simpler.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the VRA announcement and the Dell announcement from today were the two big ones that I really picked up on.
So I thought the container thing was interesting. It was that's a lot of talk on containers, which is a big shift for VMware.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
I know they've been talking about it.
Yeah.
They've been talking about a lot of things for a long time.
It's really cool because the way they're approaching this, they're kind of leapfrogging the limitations of this container technology. It's so new. Security was a big concern. Management was a big concern. VMware's like, we do those things well.
That's the part we already know.
Right. So how do we get the containers to act like VMs? Hey, look, let's just do a one-to-one mapping. That's pretty innovative.
From a customer side, are you even thinking about containers?
Funny enough we are. But interestingly, to your point, is that a lot of people are looking at containers and going, if I'm going to create these enormous clusters of containers, why on earth do I need VMware? Because I can just use bare metal, install Ubuntu, blah, 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 whatever, Core OS, that kind of thing. But an interesting thing I learned yesterday was with VMware integrated containers and even the Floaton platform, you've got 4 issues with containers at the moment. And Core OS can't solve them. Networking, doesn't connect to a lot of networking. The stack is very immature. Storage stack is very, very immature. Security and scheduling. Containers are just like VMs. They can be noisy, ugly, heavy pigs.
They've got a noisy neighbor.
Exactly, that kind of thing. And that needs to be managed. What's the best scheduler out there with 10 years, 15 years worth of knowledge to do all of that kind of thing? ESX. So the point VM is trying to make is saying the Photon platform is providing an operating system to run containers far better than any bare metal container runtime that you could possibly have.
Right.
Who knows in the future where those differences might go, but that's the plan. And that does sound good.
So we got the next few days here on it. A lot of people got in over the weekend, and there's a few events and parties that have happened since then. It's obviously the expo floor just opened, so you haven't been able to really get through it, but is there anybody you're expecting or be surprised that you see or not see out on the
Just
expo floor?
one thing I've heard, that the EMC booth is over there and the Dell booth is over there. I want a chain of hearts linking the two. I think that would be lovely.
We definitely saw it yesterday, and we just walked up to the booth and we're like, you can just push that one closer. There's no reason for that aisle in between. Is there anybody that you expected you're going to see? There were some different ones. It's a much smaller floor.
It is.
Than San Francisco. I think it's a much smaller floor than in years past. There's just not as many sponsors.
I think you're right. It's definitely not as big as I was expecting.
It's when I walk, you just look at the sponsor list on it, and you're like, that's a small. How much do we think that there's? Why are they getting less people? Is it just different in Europe? Are there different conferences? that are more of an impact? I mean, really, VMworld US ends up being a storage show half the time, right?
Yes.
That's what I was going to
Yes,
ask.
it does.
What
Yeah.
percentage of,
Yeah.
a lot of conferences now, even OpenStack conference, VMworld, literally half the vendors are storage vendors, which is crazy, but I haven't seen the vendor
At least
list.
we're down one.
You've got a good one.
So are there sessions that you guys have looked at or different things that you want to make sure that people should see while they're here, or if they get to catch them online afterwards? None? You guys have no care about no sessions? Apparently you should not go to any VMware sessions. That's what I heard.
I subscribe to the logic that we do in America at San Francisco. Go out, socialize with people. There are a lot of great people out here to meet. Catch the sessions online. And then you can go through the whole catalog, select which ones you want, listen to it, download the slide deck and everything, and do it at your leisure.
What about the labs?
Well, some of the labs you can do online at home, but I did the Cloud Native lab yesterday. Really interesting, really good, way above a lot of it was above my head, but a lot of it you can play with Docker, you can play with Kubernetes and do that literally on a lab. Yes, you're going to do it at home, but to be honest, who's going to go and sit at home on a weekend and do a Cloud Native Apps lab? You here, do it here. Back to the sessions, group discussions, panel discussions, all those things when you can interact. There are so many CTO panel discussions. You can sit in the audience, raise your hand and ask Ray O'Farrell, ask Joe Bagley, literally the CTOs of different VMware divisions, your own question. That you're not going to be able to do.
I think
right
one of
now.
the
So don't shy away from the sessions.
One of the missed opportunities from a lot of people, I think, are those group discussions.
Yes.
They're critical.
Yes.
They're not recorded. They're a very intimate setting.
It's the only time you're getting those.
Right,
Yes.
and you get experts, right? You can ask deep technical questions. You can go any
You're not
direction
the
you want with
expert.
the product. It's very feature rich.
Mike
so,
thinks he's the expert in there.
well,
And also there are
We didn't say the expert of what.
that's right. Yes.
And I think, bear in mind though, that expert's not always right.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of opinion. But actually, there also are one-on-one expert sessions you can
Yes.
set up.
Yes.
And I think it's 3 to 5 people. That's all with
Yep.
the likes of some serious kind of head honchos.
One-on-one is 3 to 5 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good
Yeah.
math.
Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Clear as mud.
One on few then, maybe.
The other nice thing to take advantage of if you're here today or throughout the week, go hit the exam center. Awesome opportunity to get discounted exams. Maybe you need to get your VCP up.
What are you saying?
No, I'm in the same boat.
So I think we mentioned there's a lot of different storage players here. We're seeing more and more on the networking side, I think. Saw a few more cloud providers in there this year too, as I kind of wandered through. So we've got that. Obviously the hang space is good size again.
Yeah, it's really
Coffee
nice.
sucks.
Yes.
And to have this
coffee's really
this
bad.
area here. Oh, the
I agree.
coffee bar.
The coffee is really. They need to do something about the coffee. It was bad.
I live in London. I drink tea, so I'm alright.
I might have to switch for here because
But it's a really nicely done space. The labs are in the same area as the hang space,
Yeah.
opposite from the general session. So yeah, it's a cool place to hang around. Yeah, definitely there's some cool container video games where they're literally running DOS on containers. What? Go and have a look.
there's people here that don't even know what DOS is.
I know. I'm aging myself.
Yeah, it's,
Next, you're going to tell us they're running it on 5 1/4 floppies.
Oh, somebody did say the Photon OS is whatever 25 meg, and they worked
Yep.
out how many floppy drives it was on. But like,
Yeah.
oh, things circle around.
so now we've talked about being able to be social while you're here. There's definitely a lot of vendor parties. There's not as much community type events here as I think there are in San Francisco or in the U.S. side of things. I mean, what do you think? I know each of you have done kind of both sides of it. You've done U.S., you've done EMEA. What's different about this show as to why people should come to this versus U.S.?
I think
I
it's.
ask the hard questions. It's what I do.
I know you do, but I think this is a more intimate gathering where
It's only you and 6,000 of your closest friends instead of 20,000 of your closest friends.
so I can connect with those 6,000 as opposed to sitting there trying to reach out to my 40,000 or whatever
I
the
think
number
it does
was.
make those small group discussions, the
Right.
3-on-1s,
Yeah, the multi-to-one.
5-on-1s, a little easier here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's
easier
a
to
lot
get
easier to
into.
meet people here, and they're usually different people, right? You can network a lot better, I think, because it's not like herding cattle to go places and do things.
Yeah. Well, that's also an interesting point, that because this conference center for Barcelona is basically in the middle of nowhere, you actually got to make a bit more effort to meet people here, because the party's also spread out all over town. It's not as though like near Moscone or in Vegas for next year, you're going to bump into people on the street, because everything's very spread out. So yeah, use the opportunity while you're here to bump into people, talk to people, because those random interactions, slightly frustratingly, don't happen on the street.
And there's plenty of time. It's almost like you're on the street as you walk from one space to the next in this conference center. I mean, it could take you 10 minutes just to get to the other side over here.
Yep.
A great move.
Good for your fitness.
Yeah, you'll definitely get your steps in.
Yes.
Right here. Anybody's watching their steps, you will get it in here. So what are we've got the different things to do. Is there anything coming up? What about the party's a little different.
Yeah.
A couple DJs instead of...
Well, Faithless is a very well-known UK band, very well-regarded as well. So that's
well known where?
certainly in the UK. Yeah, a really well-known band. People are actually, wow, they've got a band at VMworld Europe that people, I thought, knew. Obviously not, but yeah, so I was more interested than I would have been in previous years when...
I was going to go the other way, so I'm actually surprised. That was not the answer I was expecting at all.
Got it.
What about you?
Well, I personally agree with you. I think it's actually sort of a nice change of pace. But no, I don't have anything really exciting. I've been stuck on stand duty, so
That's
yes,
not fun.
it's not fun. So
At
I
all.
don't have anything exciting to share.
We get to get out and do these things, though, so it's a good excuse
yes.
to not have booth duty then.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can sign for that, it makes me seem like I don't have to do it. It's even better then.
Well, tomorrow in this area is DevOps Day as well, so that's...
That was
yes.
that was a dumb one. Yeah, I mean, we've got today the brownbag sessions going all the way through the day. I think till
They're
what,
amazing. Look at the schedule online.
5:30.
Yeah, look at the schedule online. See some of those sessions that are going on.
I
It's
mean,
impressive
everybody
stuff.
that could get through Charles de Gaulle without getting arrested made it.
Indeed.
Oh, poor man.
Too
Poor
soon?
man.
Too soon?
No,
I don't
fair
think
enough.
so. Twitter started joking about it earlier, so.
He was on the lam.
Their fault.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
No, that DevOps thing is so important that in a way virtualization allowed cloud to happen, and I think cloud allowed DevOps to happen in the true sense of the word, that developers can spin up workloads anywhere. And we're still in the infancy of that DevOps, VMware, cloud native apps, all those kind of tools. Open source is going wild, these millions of tools that people don't know how to sort of integrate. So yeah, having
there's
a
a new
DevOps
term
day.
and a new product and project come out of the open source to play with something that I don't know the name of. Every time I come to these, I'm like, I don't know. People say it and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look up what the acronym stands for.
What is great is none of the names have anything to do with marketing, so they're all these weirdly bizarre kind of
So you have to
made up names.
You can't
yeah.
be like, oh, that makes sense. It's this. No, none of them make any sense for what they actually do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We've got a full plate today, DevOps all day tomorrow. Full plate on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think a full plate on Thursday too.
Yeah,
Now we got more guests.
we do. And they're watching us, actually.
No, it's
Pressure's
right in
on.
the middle. Right in the middle. That's good. So if we've got, tell people come check out the schedule, like you said, for the brown bag here. DevOps, it's kind of odd though to me that they did this whole DevOps day in San Francisco. Now they're just going to take over this area. I'm wondering how crowded this space will get.
I'm wondering the same
I mean,
thing.
4,000 people, 5,000, whatever, 6,000 people, but this is not a large area.
Nope.
No.
So if there's one you want to see,
Yeah.
you're going to want to
Get here early.
Make sure you get over here early.
Yeah.
I think for
Yeah.
So, well, anything else you guys have tips, tricks, things that you think people should be doing while they're here?
Talk to people.
Yeah, networking is key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tony,
Drink
this is
water.
the quietest I
Drink
think
water.
I've ever
I
seen
know.
you.
I know.
Did you not sleep last night? What's going on?
I actually did sleep.
You're normally much more
adjusted.
talkative than this. You're killing me
I
right
know. I don't know what's up.
Well, I think we just got maybe a couple more minutes. I think before we wrap up.
What
So-
are you here to see then? Let's turn this around.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, you can't have the easy ride. Come on.
What do I want to see? To me, I always like walking through the small sections of the floor. It's not
Yes.
the
Yeah.
platinum guys are the same platinum guys.
Right.
Like I know the big booths.
Yep.
I probably know enough people at the big booth. I can just go talk to them. Run it. But the little companies, especially here, because sometimes they're different than the ones in the States. Like I'll get a lot more small ones, but occasionally I get one here that I'm like, they weren't even in the States. So I meet somebody new and some new company to see it. Sessions wise, yeah, I'm more distracted on it. I tend not to go to too many sessions over here anymore. Mainly because I'll go see the people, I think. As long as I'm out and about and I can see that. The group discussions, though, are ones I probably look into a bit more.
You guys doing any vBrownbags?
I'm not signed up for one this year. First
Really?
time ever. I haven't done
Why
one.
didn't you sign up for one?
Just didn't get around, and lack of a good.
I'm doing one this afternoon.
Have you seen the standard of them? That's
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's exclusive at all, but it's damn
The one
good.
I'm doing is with the company that won VMware Best of VMworld in San Francisco.
There you go. The bar's this
I
high.
didn't even. They don't know it yet. I'm using it. They're gonna learn. No, I'm doing one that we're doing a little lab setup, so some storage to put into a virtual lab with Umbrella. So, which was one of the cooler companies I think that I dealt with, and they've been pretty good to the vExperts too.
They
So.
have been.
Yes.
I think some of the people that watch don't really know necessarily what vExpert means. So, what is your definition of what a vExpert really is? What's it take to be a vExpert?
Being involved in the community. You have to go out there and find different ways of engaging. There's Twitter, there's VMware communities, blog posts, you can do videos, you can present at VMworld, you can do a vBrownbag. There's so many different channels.
Bribe Corey?
I guess you could do that.
I asked how to become a vExpert. I thought we just bribed you.
Yeah, could work.
You could do that. I also think there's a element of responsibility and developing not only yourself, but also helping to develop the community, mentoring people. I know every year I try and help one person become a vExpert, just to get them through the experience and get them well-rounded in the program.
So just that extra little helping hand of why you were doing it to begin with.
Yeah.
What's your definition?
Interestingly, my definition is not that vExpert is a goal or an aspiration or something, but all of us have learned information from reading other people's blogs or being to vMugs or these kind of things. And the way that these incredible people in the community, some of them have massive amounts of content, some have small amounts of content, but it's all so useful to everybody. We're all taking that in. That's how we've got careers, is learning stuff from other people. Mm-hmm. So the responsibility in the inverse is if you have any information that you think other people may use, you start to share it. And if you can present it at a vMug, which is great, or just start your own blog and write out a little bit of information,
Some people
that
would
sort of
say you could do a
snowballs
brown
happens.
bag, but apparently others don't want to do that.
That's a good thing to do as well. But that whole thing snowballs, and then maybe at some stage a company like VMware recognizes you and you say, hey, thanks for sharing all that information. We'd like to help you get more information from VMware. Why don't you become a vExpert? So I don't see it as a goal or something that you do all this content generation to become a vExpert. It's the more you do the content generation, and then some other companies are going to come along and say, hey, we appreciate what you guys, what you're doing. Here's a...
So you look at it as a thank you.
Yeah, a bit of a recognition, and also a bit of a two-way street, that now there's communication through that vExpert channel. You're talking about Ravello. I mean, that whole relationship with vExperts is amazing, and all these other companies then partner with vExperts. So of course promote their products, but they're also helping us all out to give more content.
They are trying to make a profit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's in their benefit, yeah.
Otherwise, you can't spend $67 billion. Apparently.
But I mean, vExpert's been going 7 years. It's an awesome program. It's set the benchmark for community engagement things. It's growing huge. There are lots of people. It's an awesome thing to be part of. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Again, it's always fun to do these. We get a nice little chat amongst us to kind of kick it off before brown bags come up later. We will be back on Thursday for another one, and then I would assume we will probably end up doing this next year because we've done it the last 4.
Why not?
So thank you guys again.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Have a great rest of the show, and make sure you go talk to people, see people, network. That's really what we're saying it's all about at this point. So that and get a loan for $67 billion.
Enjoy and don't drink the coffee.
And don't drink the coffee.